Hey everyone, it's Dr. West and my friend Sam. I'm excited to have you guys hear his story because it went from, hey, I can't think very good, to improvement, to, I mean, it's just a great story. So I asked him to share it because we love to show people that there's hope, that you're not your diagnosis, that there's mechanisms and treatments available that help with your immune system and more importantly with your nervous system. So that being said, Sam, tell people a little bit about your healthcare journey. I mean, it's fascinating, it's motivating, inspiring, and I just love it. So what's fascinating about your journey?
The journey is really interesting. The chronic illness that I had came on all suddenly, and it was just a horrible experience. Ended up in the ER like 3 times, and then went through many doctors through the Western medicine route. And the diagnosis that I got from them was, you're depressed. And that was not was not acceptable for me. I felt that someone was wrong, and I knew there was something else out there. So I finally found a doctor through my brother who was also battling some chronic illnesses, and I was able to get a good diagnosis of Epstein-Barr virus with rheumatoid arthritis. And
so Sam, with that, I wanted to make 2 comments. One, I do believe that you were depressed, but not because of primary depression. It's because you didn't feel good, and when you don't feel good, you don't have the energies, and you're hurting and everything, then it pulls your emotions down, and that's the secondary diagnosis. Yeah. But the reason why is because we have some things that are off. So Epstein-Barr, rheumatoid arthritis. I know one of your doctors said, hey, here's some depressive medication. There was another doctor that said, hey, let's try and work on the Epstein-Barr, but it wasn't getting you to where you wanted to get. So how did we connect? How do we meet up?
So miraculously, my brother and I heard a radio spot, and then Dr. West came down to Salt Lake City and did a presentation, and his messages resonated really well. My brother and I were really excited to come up and to take care of our health. And so our journey began about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, and the message is, and this is what I tell everybody when we do our videos, like, you're not your diagnosis. Like, that's the first message I want. And then the second one is, if we can get your energy levels up and we can get things balanced, good things happen. So we started on the journey a couple years ago, but there was a couple big symptoms that we need to take care of. One of them was like the brain fog. You said your brain just doesn't work. So tell everybody what that was like.
The brain fog is just horrible because I was not able to think, and with my job I had to think properly, and so I'm a computer engineer, and I could not think properly, or I could not retain thoughts or remember stuff. And that was my biggest primary concern, was to be able to have my mind back. And so that's what we started on when I came to see you.
And Sam, I really feel for you on that, because out of all the stuff that comes into the office, you know, mental ability to think, mental stamina, making sure I don't get dementia. Like, I can handle gray hair and wrinkles, but if you can't think, like,
that's true.
Bad things are going to happen.
That's right. And the second thing was, I was chronic fatigue, man. I mean, I had to take naps like during the afternoon, and I would just crash like hard. So. And
that's one of the classic signs of a chronic viral infection, whether it's Epstein-Barr or the chickenpox virus, or the rotavirus, the rhinovirus, cytomegalovirus, parvovirus, like all those viruses basically get in your system, and if you don't have the energy to get rid of them, what happens, it's like someone plugged an extension cord into your body, and it just sucks all your energy out. And then, of course, a lot of times the medical treatment for Epstein-Barr is, well, you just go to bed for a year. Like, just don't do anything. And I'm like, that never works for people. Like, you got to do more than just physiologic bed rest. But I'm excited for you to tell people, like, what helped to bring your brain power back? Because obviously you guys can see, like, he's pretty sharp. He's doing computer stuff and right on the top of the conversations. But we did this treatment called
neurotherapy.
So neurotherapy is the nerve reset.
Yep.
And so tell everybody a little bit about that.
Okay, so the neurotherapy, I guess you guys call it the crown of thorns, and these basically put little, shots around your head and stuff like that.
The widest circumference of the head, and just so everybody knows, like, that was the name that I was taught, and everybody's so worried. They hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to crucify me or something. It's only because the head's highly vascular, and for probably 30 to 60 seconds after it looks like you had some thorns around your head, it's not near what Jesus went through. So I need to clarify that to everybody. But it has an amazing ability. The nerves that come out to the skin above your brain, like literally they open, close, and reset. And what happened for you?
It took about 3 years, but I finally felt normal, and I could think properly. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I can think.
It's really fun to get people's brain to turn back on. It doesn't always take 3 years. I mean, we were consistently working with him, and it's been a miraculous process, because like when we first saw Sam, he was like half asleep. Like,
Yeah, it was
he was coming, man, I don't feel good. He'd get in the chair, he'd go to sleep, and he just looked like he'd always been waking up. And then as we've been continue to work with him, he'd come in, bounce at his step. I mean, you can see now, like, there's little electricity vibes coming off of him. But what are the other treatments that we did?
We did IV therapies, and we did like a foot bath, and like detoxing and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we did detoxing,
right.
and then the infusion treatments that we love to do with Epstein-Barr is vitamin C, at least 50, 75 grams of vitamin C, and then we add everything else to it, B5, B6, magnesium, zinc, and then we added some supplements, and we've kind of been tweaking those. We just tweaked them again, just a little bit. His blood tests, like, I don't want to go into any specific number, they look really good, and I was really happy to see that. And now it's like, hey, Sam, let's just make sure that you're performing at your highest level.
That's right.
Up here. And so it's just been a really fun experience. Not only, like, my dad told me this is going to happen. People start off as patients, and then they turn into friends. I'm always excited to see him, because he's living life instead of just existing.
Yeah,
like
I know.
A huge difference.
I'm very grateful for you. I'm glad we found you.
Yeah, right on. So anyway, everyone, so this is the story, Dr. West and Sam. We're talking about Epstein-Barr virus. You're not your diagnosis. There's hope out there. And again, if you treat people for people, you treat the blood tests, you give the energy into the system, you reset the nervous system, these are the outcomes that are possible. And Sam, is it okay if I share the story with people on our blog, social media?
Definitely, please do.
And if anybody's looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, I got Epstein-Barr, what should I do? What would you recommend?
Search out Dr. West. Yeah, come to Pocatello.
So we have people that come from all over, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it's totally worth it, yes.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. West and Noah, and I'm excited for you guys to hear Noah's story, because we ran into each other, probably 3 or 4 years ago?
About 4 years ago, I think, yeah. 4
years ago, and when we put the testimonials together, Noah messaged me and said, hey, I want to tell my story.
Absolutely.
So without further delay, Noah, tell everybody, like, number one, a little bit about your health journey, what you feel comfortable with, and then how we met up, and then how you feel now.
Oh yeah, well, about 10 years ago, it was 2008, I had a pretty sudden and dramatic change in my health. Started out really quickly, and over the course of about 6 months, I deteriorated to the point where I really couldn't walk without assistance. I couldn't speak. I developed severe slur in my speech, and I was in excruciating pain, and I went through 24 different doctors, like specialist to specialist, got bounced around from doctor to doctor. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. Got misdiagnosed a couple times. Eventually found a strange little doctor, I think you know, in Utah, that was able to figure it out it was Lyme disease. And I had a really acute case of Lyme disease. It had gotten into my brain, past the blood-brain barrier. And I had severe encephalitis and meningitis type symptoms, and life was pretty miserable. She helped get me back from the brink of death, but then I plateaued. I just kind of got stuck. And for a good 5-6 years, I just kind of was stuck. I didn't feel well, had no energy. Life was kind of miserable to be trapped in my body. Then I came across, I think it was a radio ad that you ran.
We were doing an employer program where we wanted to tell employers about how to save money by reducing medical costs. And so I did a radio spot on KSL.
Yep, and I came to your little seminar, and we met, and I came up for not necessarily a diagnosis, but an assessment, and I got past that plateau. And it was kind of a different approach to some of the things I'd already done, but I had much better results with it.
And so, tell it, like, what were what were some of the treatments that you experienced in the office? And by the way, like, I knew that you were sick. I didn't know that you were that sick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd kind of come back from the dead. Like, I was to the point where I really felt like I was circling around the drain. Like, if I had lost hope, things might have gone a different direction, but I didn't ever lose hope. So
the difference between what you were receiving before and what we were doing in the office was what? You said it was a little different approach. So tell everybody what that is.
well, one, I mean, it was just kind of, I think it was a different cocktail of the vitamins and things you were putting in there. Some of the light therapies and things that you were doing were a little bit different. The neural therapy, I think, was a lifesaver because that kind of helped. It kind of felt like my body and my immune system were always in crisis, and everything was always feeling inflamed. And the neural therapy really helped reset things for me quite a bit.
So to know what had experienced before, they were kind of going after the bug.
Yep.
And what we were decided is like, well, let's just try and make him healthy. And again, this is so important. When you come into the office, if you go to the right, you get the vitamin infusion, the ultraviolet therapy, and stuff like that. When you go to the left, that's when we're trying to reboot your nervous system. And the neural therapy, he said it was, life-changing. I experienced the same thing because you want to get the nerves to reset. You want to get them to open, close, and reset. Because so many times, like for Noah, what happened is they got him to a certain point, and then as it was going across, the nervous system was like, this is normal. This is how you're supposed to be. And then when we started working, it's like, no, let's reset that so he can live here instead of being down here. So in the neural therapy, I think we did the crown of thorns, we did up and down your back, we did the immune system. Any of the other ones that stick out for you?
The ozone therapy. I've done some of that, but probably not enough. I think that was very, very helpful. And then I don't even know what you call it, but the HTC or HCT, something like that.
So the ozone therapy is we're trying to get extra oxygen into the body because from a chemical perspective, if oxygen is the final electron acceptor in the electron transport chain, which just means if we got oxygen into the cell, the byproducts are energy, water, and carbon dioxide. If you don't, it's pyruvate and lactic acid, and it makes people hurt. So that ozone therapy, we're trying to change things at the cell level. And then the healthy cell therapy is when we pull a little bit of blood out, we spin it down, we're pulling off the DNA fragments, we take it out of the vascular system, we put it in the muscle system. It's a technique that Dr. Calzada in Mexico taught me, so a big shout out for him. But it also helps to like reprogram and just stimulate your system to move in the right direction. And so IV therapy, ozone, neural therapy, HCT, anything else?
All the supplements. Just kind of a regular regimen of supplements kind of help keep me, going between visits. And that's usually when I come up and visit you again, is because I've run out of supplements and I just need more. So
and that is we're just trying to give him the most important supplement, which is the one that he needs. And it's literally different for every person. So we're trying to target and figure out, okay, what is Noah deficient in? He does a ton of things right as far as, prayer, meditation, journaling. I mean, all the stuff to get his mind, body, he's already doing that, and we're just kind of adding to that. And so it was fun to hear his story. And anything else that people should know?
Oh, life's better when you're not in pain. It really is. It's nice to actually kind of feel like a human being again.
And a couple other neat things happened. I mean, you're in a newer relationship, and you have a little baby now.
Yeah, got a new wife that's amazing, way out of my league. Like,
she is pretty phenomenal.
She's pretty phenomenal. And then I got an amazing new little boy that, I've got my daughters too. So life's really, really good.
All right, so no, if anybody's looking at this and they're on the fence or they're trying to figure out, because we do such a different approach to chronic disease, chronic infection, and Lyme disease, because we don't go after the bug. And it's really important distinction because the bug's not the problem. It's the person that is, something's deficient. If we get the immune system working, any ideas, suggestions for someone that's trying to figure out, I got to do something different, I don't know where to go?
Going after the bug, I think, in my opinion, caused more problems for me because I would have nasty Herxheimer reactions after treatments. My digestive tract was all out of whack because I was on a lot of antibiotics. And it didn't really solve the problem. Again, like you explained, that new normal is kind of how it was not a good place to be because I just kind of plateaued and I was always living with that chronic disease. And I think it really just changed the approach to actually help assist my own body in making that transition and fight the bug by itself.
And you're not exactly next door to us. I mean, it's a commitment to get here. So Tell everybody about the travel, and obviously it's worth it because you're better, but speak to a little bit of the distance, because so many people watch stuff and then be like, oh,
Well,
I got to travel.
Me,
to
it's
Idaho.
not that terrible. I mean, I only come from Salt Lake City, so it's only a 2.5-hour drive, and if you speed a little bit, it's a little bit less. But I've met people in the clinic from all over the place, from different parts of the U.S., outside the U.S. I mean, people come a long way to come to Pocatello, Idaho, which I think is fantastic.
I know it's a little crazy. People don't think that, you can. So many people have said, hey, if he knew what he was doing, he would be in New York, he'd be in Chicago, he'd be in Dallas. And I'm like, I just don't want to live there. And so it's fun. In the office this morning, we had Georgia, we've had Alaska, Washington, obviously Utah, and Idaho. And so if you're watching this, you guys, there is a way to help you. You're not your diagnosis. You can beat it. I mean, Noah's a perfect example. It's so fun to work with him. Not only is he patient, but we're friends. And I enjoy that when he comes in. I enjoy visiting with him and seeing his out of his league wife, who's awesome. And I just say that jokingly, but she's amazing. I really enjoy visiting with her too. So this is Dr. West and Noah just giving people a little dose of what it's like to live down here and then all of a sudden live here. And now our goal with Noah is just keep him there. Like, we don't need a whole bunch of treatments. It's just a periodic check-in. And when I saw him this morning, I'm like, hey, I just want people to hear your story. Hey everyone, it's Royden and Darla and Dr. West. We just finished with Royden's reevaluation that we had, which we started working together about 8 or 9 months ago, I think, right? And so I asked him, like, this is such a good outcome. It's so fun to participate where someone just really responded. He did everything that he was supposed to do. And Royden, how do you feel now?
Fine.
Yeah, so fine is an understatement. Like, sometimes we have to pry information out of them because it's
excellent.
Okay, see? All right, so Royden, we started working together at the beginning of the year. What did you feel like when you came in?
Worried, I guess.
So we had some anxiety and worry. What else?
Well, I just didn't know what was going on, I guess.
And then the other thing was it was hard for you to get to sleep.
Yeah.
So what would happen when you were trying to get to sleep?
I don't know, things would be rushing through my head. I couldn't focus. I just couldn't calm down.
And so, Darla, tell everybody what Royden was like when he came in. I mean, he kind of is telling you, but, like, it's a lot more significant than what he's saying.
Exactly, especially from a parent's point of view. We had 2.5 years of over 100 seizures. We are actually some of the lucky ones compared to other people with epilepsy. It wasn't a daily event, but at least once a month, we had a whole day of seizures, pretty constant. And we went to medical doctors. We got medicine, which slightly helped his OCD, but it didn't help the seizures. And they continued to get worse and worse. And as a parent, to have to watch your child go through that once a month, and then every time they're away from you, you worry. Are they going to have one? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to be a grandma? Is somebody going to be there to help them? It's not a life you want to live. And more than anything, I worried about what it was doing to his brain. I was done. I was done watching him have problems with his brain. And a friend of mine had mentioned to me to come see Dr. West, and I thought, I don't know if I want to do that. But we made the leap, and we did, and I'd do it 1,000 times over, and I'm so glad that we did it.
So, Royden, tell everybody some of the treatments that we did. You were worried about remembering all of them. No pressure, but, like, first of all, what did we have you do at home?
We had the Congoplex and Cataplex, the OPC Synergy, then there was like vitamins.
So everybody, what we are doing for, what he's talking about is we gave Royden the most important vitamin, which is the one that he needed. So we found a virus in his system, which I felt was triggering all of the nerve stuff. And Darla, when I said that, did you line up with that, or were you kind of questioning, like, what happened when I first said, hey, look, he's got a virus?
I couldn't believe, as soon as I saw his blood my first thought was, I haven't seen that since high school. Why don't medical doctors do that? How awesome that this chiropractor did what made sense in my head. It worked. As soon as I saw the blood on the screen, before you even turned around and said that, I remembered thinking, that blood doesn't look right. And only about a quarter of his cells even looked somewhat healthy. And all the rest of them, you could see the white dots of a virus. as soon as Dr. West said that, I was like, wow, I would never have believed that that's what was causing this.
She
So-
thought it was in the family.
Yeah, I thought the seizures were more genetic than anything.
So one of the things that happens and this is a study that we give to people, is when you have a chronic infection, it causes neurobehavior, neurodegenerative, psychiatric, autoimmune, and fatiguing illness. So when we did the workup with him, and we've had really good outcomes with epilepsy and seizure and stuff like that by giving the body nutrient building blocks, protecting the nerves, and getting the immune system to work. And so when I heard this, I was thinking, oh, I know I can help. Now, I didn't want to say that right away to mom and dad because they were just cautious. They don't want to get their hopes up. It wasn't, belligerent. It wasn't skeptical. It was just guarded. And then when we saw that, and what she's talking about is we have a process where you can look and see viral patterns. You can't really see the virus. You can see the viral characteristics. And so I knew that if we got his immune system working, that the nervous system would change. And so what we talked about is giving him stuff for the immune system, protecting the nerves, and then, Royden, we did some other stuff. What are these other stuff that we did?
There's the red bed, the beta pod, or whatever it's called. And then I can't remember the other one.
So we did a red bed, what they call RTMS, and the theta pod. And what that does is it's just putting energy into the system, and it's supporting the nervous system from an energetic standpoint. And we kind of call it our Star Trek treatment. It's really cutting edge and stuff like that. But then when we saw the blood today, right, what did it look like?
I couldn't find any signs of a virus.
No, so the cells looked healthy. Like it was really neat. They look good. Darla, what was your thoughts when you saw the blood?
It's gone. He's finally healthy again. It's gone. The virus is gone.
And the last time that Royden had a seizure was when?
8.5 months ago.
So
Within a week of starting treatment with you, the seizure stopped.
right. So we went from once on wood here, and now the protocol moving forward. And by the way, your neurologist gave you some really good advice. He told you to do what?
Stay on the keto diet. We've been on the keto diet also.
So I think that's
And
wonderful
so-
advice. Protect the brain, the nervous
Yep.
system. So high fats, medium protein, avoid the carbs. It was just a really fun case all the way around, because when he walked in and we saw that, I said, if we can get his immune system working, then everything's going to get better. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So Royden, the reason why I asked you to tell your story is I wanted you to have other people to have hope that you're not your diagnosis, that you can beat your disease. Because the medical treatment was really, hey, let's just give him anti-seizure medicines until he either outgrows it or forever, right? And we said, well, there's got to be something that's triggering him. So we fixed the trigger. Is it okay if I share the story with other people and put it up on YouTube or Facebook? Mm-hmm. Darla, any other comments? Like if someone was watching this and thinking, well, it worked for me, you said, what would you tell them?
When we started this, my biggest thought was no money, no worry, no stress is too big to try and help your child. It's worth it. It doesn't matter what your finances are. It doesn't matter if you think I can't do the keto, because that was one thing I thought. When you see your child become healthy, it's worth it. And even if you don't quite have the same success we do, you don't know if you will or not. So you've got to make that effort for your family member, for yourself, for your child. I'm so glad we did it.
So for Royden, just to summarize, diagnosed with epilepsy, then and the seizures that were happening. Then we started on the right vitamin, which is the one that he needed. We stimulated the immune system. We protected the nerves. He got on the keto diet. They did everything right on the family side, even though it wasn't easy to switch. Basically this is how we were eating to, hey, we wanted to go to a heavy fat intake, but proof is right here. And it was just a really fun case to be a part of. And now our program is, we just want to keep him there. Like we don't have to do a bunch of treatments. I've said, hey, well, let's see if, in 6 months, and then we'll probably see him every year after that. But if we maintain this, I anticipate that we're not going to have any more seizures. We've had this happen. I really don't think we're going to have a seizure moving forward. So this is Darla and Royden and Dr. West signing out with a really fun seizure case, and we'll see you guys on the next life-changing video.